Hi, welcome to our ProAV Academy series on tech terms, where we sit down with Alister Chapman and chat through some of the technical terms that just come up again and again in this industry. Alister is one of the best people I know at explaining complex technical concepts, so hopefully, just by casually chatting with him each one of these terms through, these videos can just help clear up some of the confusion that might be out there on each of these terms. Today, we're talking about bit depth, the differences between 8-bit and 10-bit, and what you should choose for your work. So does bit depth affect any other aspects of the image, things like dynamic range, for example?
Well, bit depth doesn't actually change the dynamic range of your camera. But what becomes important is that as we move to cameras that have more and more dynamic range, is that actually we need more and more bits. 8-bit and 6 or 7 stops of dynamic range with Rec 709 was so easy to do. But now we're moving to cameras with 14, even 15 stops or more. So we're trying to record a much greater range. So having more bits means that within that range we still at least keep or have extra tonal values.
I suppose if you're capturing more, you've got to have somewhere to put it.
Exactly. So as you try and capture more, you need a bigger bucket, bigger recording bucket. So that's where we need more bits to record all that extra information. So it is something to consider, is that as you're moving to higher dynamic range, especially when we're doing log and raw and all those things, that more bits becomes more important. And the other thing that this affects, of course, is what the camera does internally. So generally, the sensor of most cameras is going to be outputting at least 12, if not 14 or 16 bits coming off that sensor. And then that's processed in the camera. There's a device in most cameras called the DSP, Digital Signal Processor. And the bit depth of that is important, because if your DSP doesn't have enough bits, you may find that you get artifacts in highlights and things like that because it's having to cheat the mathematics. Whereas a DSP that's 16-bit or more can take a 12-bit sensor output. It's got enough overhead to do the mathematics and the sums when it's doing the knee and roll-offs and gamma curves and all of that sort of thing. So a nice high bit depth image processor in the camera is advantageous as we move to bigger dynamic ranges, so that we can keep all those subtle textures and all those subtle tones without compromising them.
I guess it's important to pay attention to bit depth throughout the process. So you've got what your sensor sees, then you've got what it sends to the processor, then it's got what the recorded media is, or what is being sent out over your HDMI, and all the way down into post-production. All
the way through. So sensor, lots of bits starting at the sensor. Generally, you'll have a lot of bits coming off the sensor. Then the processing in the camera, how it's recorded. At least 8 bits is a given, but ideally nowadays we should be looking at 10-bit, 12-bit. Then post-production, if you were to go to an 8-bit codec, so all the old MPEG-2 codecs, for example, like XAVC, is an 8-bit codec. It's all very well starting off with 10-bit.
Sure.
Use that, well, forget it.
Exactly.
So this is where, part of the reason I think why ProRes has always been so popular is it's generally a 10-bit or more codec. So you want a nice 10-bit codec in post-production, 10-bit
and
pipeline.
monitoring it in a 10-bit way.
Exactly.
Like you said,
this is
with
why
the
you need
monitor.
your HD SDI or HDMI output, not your computer graphics card, because very often they're 8-bit at best. So it's that whole end-to-end workflow that becomes important. And even now delivery, of course, because traditionally, the last 5 or 6 years, most people have been delivering an H.264, which is an 8-bit codec. So we're going down to 8-bit there. You upload that to YouTube or Vimeo and it's 8-bit. But we now have the ability to do stuff with H.265. This is now becoming much easier to do, much more of a mainstream codec, and that's 10-bit. So you now have the ability to deliver very easily in 10-bit. And as screens now become HDR, 8-bit is probably not going to be enough. You're probably going to need 10-bit. In fact, you do really. To deliver HDR, need a 10-bit codec. So delivery now is going to have to start happening in 10-bit as well.
Awesome. And there's so much to pay attention to there, isn't there? It's a complicated subject. But no, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. Keep in mind, we also do a whole range of ProAV Academy workshops held right here in our UK showroom, where we cover a whole range of topics, from audio to post-production, camera techniques, business tips, lighting tips, and many more. The main aim of these workshops is to help our customers learn and develop their skills. And there's something about face-to-face training which can just never be replaced by videos like this one. So if you're in the UK, please do get a ticket from the link down below and join us for ProAV Academy.